Hello, it's September 8th, 2025, 1:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm doing an intraday video just to highlight what sort of things I am seeing in the market. And right now, I think the broader market is waiting for the data that's coming out pre-market on Thursday this week, which is the CPI data. And I'd like to reiterate that everyone in the market right now is expecting a rate cut. And if CPI comes in hot, that just aligns with what the broader market is thinking. Just reinforces the fact that we are expecting a rate cut announcement during FOMC next week. So if the CPI data comes in cool, then perhaps maybe we may see a potential reduction in the probability of a rate cut or how many rate cuts by the end of this year. So the market right now, the price action is showing me that the market is stagnant. It's stuck. There are a lot of individual tickers that are worth playing rather than the individual indices like SPY, QQQ, and IWM. So if you are playing option contracts, I would stay away from the indices and play the individual tickers perhaps. And last week, the skew index ended up at 148. And what that really tells us is that the market is expecting less of the out the money puts, and the market is anticipating that it's a risk on environment until further notice. And so you could see QQQ today actually got close to the 581 level again in the morning, but it quickly got sold back down intraday. And so I think we're waiting for some of these macro data to come out this week, and perhaps maybe the market is really waiting for the FOMC announcement next week. So I would avoid a lot of these heavy positionings if you were planning to play options this week and early next week, and just let the FOMC arrive and then play your options. I actually had Tesla puts since last Friday, given my setup. Given that Tesla had a huge volume bar last Friday, plus sort of a green doji candle, I got into the 330 puts expiring this week, and so the pre-market actually showed a lot of strength since 8 p.m. on Sunday, and Tesla actually got up all the way to the 355 level before market today and started selling off to the 345 level. And that is around where I actually sold my puts because I don't see it sliding yet. And I think the market may actually just stay stagnant for a while until FOMC comes. And so I closed my Tesla positions, and I actually bought some small Nvidia positions that will expire on September 19th. So next end of the week next week. And those are the 175 calls for about 2. And I actually played it pretty quickly today in the morning. So I bought it early in the morning for 1.97 as I posted on my YouTube post, and I sold it off at 2.45. And then that's when Nvidia intraday kind of started chopping, and we could see some run up near the end of the day given this type of consolidation intraday. And so I've set my sell to, so I re-entered and bought I bought the same contracts for 1.99, and I'm planning to sell it around 2.6, 2.7. So if that does come, I'll let it go. If not, I'll hold it. I think Nvidia has the same setup for that I'm always eyeing for. It's a hammer candle on a daily volume bar that's quite high, and as I saw it getting above the Friday highs, I knew that I should get into the call options for Nvidia for next week just to give myself a little bit more time. And so that's what I have right now. And right now the VIX is very, very stagnant. It is flat. So that's just telling everyone in the market that there's nothing going on right now. Literally, you shouldn't be playing any indices. Just play individual tickers. And you could see Apple selling off today. And now it's sort of making a comeback. And so when you see these type of price actions, do not expect it to keep going straight down. It does happen sometimes, but once you hit some certain levels and you see that, oh, the whole morning has been just selling off. If you see that and you have any puts, sell your puts, sell it into those selling pressure. And if you plan to short Apple on a daily, you should have shortened it. You should have shorted it last week, not today. So, in this type of environment, keeping your plays small, selling your positions when you see strength is the strategy. Do not hold it for long. We are nearing a topping phase. QQQ just needs to make a new all-time high. The skew index needs to hit above 180, and that is when you know the market is going to go into a bear market, but I wouldn't say a major bear market. I would just say a 3 to 4% drop in the next couple of weeks to months. And then that is when you would want to go long once the skew index hits around 130, 125, and the market, everyone starts selling off until it hits those levels. And so I would keep my positions very, very small. Just play maybe 2 contracts at most, 1 to 2 contracts, survive the week. You don't need to make all your money now. I know it's getting to the end of the year, but there are going to be a lot of better opportunities waiting for you if you just wait. Just review what happened in the January price action. It's the same. And if you review the skew index, it is the same way that's playing out. You're making new all-time highs, dropping about 1%, 1.25, and then you're repping back up again, new all-time highs, and then back and forth, and then you enter your bear market. About a 3 to 4% drop is what I'm aiming for, but perhaps maybe we could go down to 7 to 10%. Who knows? But I am never the type to hold my positions. I'd never diamond hand my positions. I see profit and I like it. 30% to 40, 30, 40, 50%. I'm taking those profit. I am not going to stay in it for too long. These are the type of strategies and opportunities that I see that I can always play, like Nvidia, get my profit, come back in later, get my profit, get back in later. So that is my anticipation. I also want to talk about what happened last Friday, and I did not mention it in my last video, but I want to highlight it again. So last Friday, I love using the ADD indicator. And the ADD indicator talks about the New York Stock Exchange stocks. And it's how many the indicator pretty much explains how many stocks are advancing green minus how many stocks are declining red. And so as you could see on Friday last week, around 9:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so right about 10 minutes after the open, you could see the ADD actually crossed the 1800 level. And once it hit the 1800 level, I don't usually do this because above the 1800 level means it's overbought. The market's overbought, and usually it takes about a day or two before the market starts to sell off. And for Friday at 9:40 a.m., it actually sold off immediately and it just waterfalled. And so I'm sharing this type of indicator to everyone because I think it's a very important indicator to know, okay, if you're overbought, you technically could play about a 1 to 2 day to expiry put options for the indices, because the overall ADD indicator talks about the broader market. So if you talk about the broader market, you have to play the index like SPY, like QQQ. Not so much the IWM, but if you just picked SPY, you could have made a pretty good living on Friday after that waterfall. But I try my best to stay away from shorting the market as much as possible, because shorting the market in the long term doesn't really work. You can play small puts and anticipate any of the selling, but I like playing the ADD when it's oversold. And when it's oversold at the minus 1800 level, and it doesn't poke through to the minus 2000 level, then that means I could see a potential reversal in the market for SPY and QQQ. And so that's what happened last week when I think QQQ went down all the way to like 560. And then I think about 3 days later, QQQ actually bounced back to like plus 515 points or something like that. And I had calls actually going all the way back up there. And so I like to share this with everyone and just want to make sure that you have these types of indicators readily available on your charts to use to play intraday reversals. Other than that, I don't see anything happening today. Today seems just like a typical chop day on a Monday, no news Monday, no news tomorrow. And so I guess everyone is really just waiting for Nvidia. Not Nvidia. Really waiting for CPI to come out. But other than that, that's all I have for today. I'm going to take a look at other individual tickers that pique my interest. One of them is Coin on the daily. I really, really like how Coin is shaping up. It is consolidating. I am waiting for that hammer candle to go down first into the lower Bollinger Band and then pop back up. So perhaps I might play some calls there. But right now I'm just watching. Hood, amazing play last week. If I had only kept my Hood ticker, my Hood calls, those calls are like at 8 from where I bought them at like 2 or something. So really, really happy with Hood. Microsoft, it is sort of consolidating. We have an inside candle today, huge bearish engulfing candle. There were some negative news that came out over the weekend, but I don't think it has anything to do with the ticker at all. So just really watching this ticker. Meta, again, Meta really did what it was supposed to do, hit that lower Bollinger Band with slight increase in volume, which I was kind of suspicious of. So it did rip up to the 760 level, which I actually looked at for calls, but it was quite expensive. And Meta, the volatility on Meta contracts are very, very hard to play. So I stayed away from Meta. And again, Apple, like I mentioned, huge dump. I think it may continue if, let's say, we have negative news this week. So yeah, let's just keep an eye on the skew. Let's see how we close today on the overall market. And I will report back to you tomorrow. Cheers.